Thanks, darling. We're going to do another thing we haven't rehearsed at all. How to come I've got Dusty's accent all of a sudden. Here it is. I'm going. The Oregon Country Fair was born during the turbulent politics of the 60s. Young men were drafted to fight an illegal war in Vietnam. This sent a generation of outraged people into the streets to protest. We fought for women's rights, gay rights, civil rights, and workers' rights. We wanted to create an alternative society with sustainable environmental practices, a healthy food production system, and to show reverence for the land. The counterculture required an alternative marketplace to the Saturday market. So the Saturday market and the Oregon Country Fair were born. The 70s. The first fair in 1969 was a fundraiser for a local alternative school. I'm way behind. The concept was so popular, Connie Epstein ran it a second year, after which Bill and Cindy Wooten and other local activists took over and moved the fair to our current location. The decision to build community gave crews, vendors, and entertainers the ability to self-organize. Bill and Cindy passed on the torch of leadership to the Main Camp Collective in 1977, at which point it turned the page. In 1974, Reverend Chumley showed us up and launched New Vaudeville. There he is, Chumley in all his glory. The world got to meet the Flying Karamazov brothers. Mose Wright, the sword swallower. Tom Noddy, the bubble guy. And they're out of order. And they spelled it wrong! And the... And the first marching band. The vaudevillians began the first midnight show so that vendors and staff could see the entertainment. Yes! The first 10 years bought the Peach logo, recycling, bus service, community village, a board of directors, and an Ohm circle. We had 5 stages, 22,000 attendees, vendors such as Springfield Creamery, Shea Ray's, and Tofu Palace. Whitebird provided medical services. Admission was $3. All was not completely peachy and peaceful, though. A determined group of conservatives did not like the fair. The county sheriffs caused a huge traffic gridlock. I'm just going randomly here relative to the slides.
That's okay. Go for it.
They patrolled the site during the event and required excessive regulations exclusive to the fair in an effort to shut it down. Then the 80s. We entered the second decade as a well-established and well-organized annual festival determined to prevail against Lane County commissioners and to purchase this land. The fair attorney, Jill Hyman, incorporated the fair as a non-profit 501c3 with Sandra Bauer as the first president. Wait, we're in the 90s. The OCF won $90,000 in a lawsuit against the Lane County commissioners and the Lane County sheriffs for interfering with fair participants' constitutional right to assemble. Fair treasurer Ron Chase used those funds to make the first down payment on the purchase of the land. Charter memberships and a Grateful Dead concert provided the second down payment. Next was a battle to stop Highway 126 from going through the fair site. John Stamp, Robert Despain, and others saved the day when they found significant archaeological sites that indicated people had gathered here for over 10,000 years. Also, the Peach Pit began. Arna Shaw was hired as the first paid general manager. Energy Park showcased alternatives to fossil fuel. Now, there were 8 permanent stages. I'm still behind. New Vaudeville, I'm so far behind. Continued to be the heart of the fair and added Artist the Spoonman and the Royal Famille du Canevaux. Music favorites were Jim Page, Myth Rander, Brothers of the Ballady, Baby Gramps, 9 Days Wonder, and Shumba. Jerry Jaffe produced a documentary called the 11th Annual Oregon Country Fair, a Northwest Celebration. I'm still in the 90s. We entered the 90s with a mortgage burning party. Leslie Scott was hired as general manager. There were record-breaking crowds, new stages. We added Cellamella, Norma Sachs, and others started the Fair Family News. Neighbors opened satellite camps for public camping. In honor of the 2 of our founding leaders, Bill Wooten and Jill Hyman, we donated over $1 million to support the arts and environmental education. Vaudeville continued to enchant us with Dr. Atomics Medical Show, Umo, Leap, and Louis Lichtenstein, Girls Who Wear Glasses, and Mildred Hodiddle. Bands such as Joanne Rand, Sugar Beats, and the String Cheese Incident kept everyone going all day. The In the new millennium, the board refined our mission. It is the intent of the Oregon Country Fair to create events and experiences which nourish the spirit, explore living artfully and authentically on Earth, and transform culture in magical, joyous, and healthy ways. 4 generations now call the fair home. The elders started the still living room and began to honor our long history by creating the timelines. The event became more complex and year-round. Robert Despain and Laura Stewart began the spoken word program to host essential conversations. Leslie Scott started Culture Jam, an event that empowers teens to develop their creative potential. Susie Przansky's book, Fruit of the 60s, was published, documenting our early journey. Besides, the past decade, the fair expanded with the addition of Xanadu, the dance pavilion, magical art installations, and a radio station. Susie Przansky followed up her original book with another published account of our journey called Brigadoon of the 60s. The fair is an essential event for a whole new generation. We continue to provide a marketplace for handcrafted goods, a stage for vaudeville arts, wonderful music, a place where critical conversations are held, and most importantly, a place where community is treasured. The community that we call Fair Family is a self-selected community of equals, committed to an alternative to a mainstream culture that sadly is still in need of change. Our children are now taking up the torch to ensure that the vision of an alternative, better, more peaceful future continues. A future that models cooperation, peace, and living lightly on the earth. Here's to the next 50.